I also want to now finally tell you that meditation is not merely an exercise at a certain time of the day, it's a way of life. Great Master was once asked, how many hours should we meditate in every 24 hours? He said the ideal would be 24 out of 24. He said, what about this 2.5 hours we hear about? That you should meditate 2.5 hours. He said that is based upon an old principle of charity, that you should give 10% of your net income to charity, and the tithes or the 1/10 principle has been followed in many cultures and many religions, that this should be a tithe or a charity you should give. And on that basis, they said 10% of your total time out of 24 hours, 10% is 2.5 hours. So that is just dedicated for charity. It's an offering. 2.5 hours of meditation is just an offering. But how can you say that 2.5 hours of meditation is enough as against 21.5 hours that you're going to spend on other things? Where is the balance? There is no balance if 2.5 hours is given to spiritual meditation and 21.5 hours given to sleeping and working in the world and putting your attention here. There is no balance. Therefore, you should create not only a balance, you should create a surplus of meditation so that you have meditation more than you spend time elsewhere. Then the question was, how do you meditate more than that when you are still working with your jobs, taking care of your families, doing other worldly duties that you perform, that you have to perform, the obligations that are created by your karma? How can you balance it with more time than 2.5 hours, which is plenty? Most people can't do even 2.5 hours. When I try to meditate, and I meditate half an hour, looks like 2.5 hours to me. And sometimes it is even 10 minutes can look 2.5 hours. If your mood is not for meditation, you are forcing yourself to meditate, and that is the meditation that yields the least result. Because you're forcing yourself, your mind is not in meditation. So even if you sit like that for hours, it doesn't matter. The best time is when you are really feeling like meditating. It's interesting. It gives you something. It makes you feel good. After meditation, you feel refreshed. Then you can do meditation and more meditation. But how do we balance 2.5 hours against 21.5 hours? And Great Master explained that you can balance it. First of all, if you think of your Master and do the repetition of words of mantra which he has given you, you are meditating. You can be walking, you can be cooking, you can be doing other things. That's meditation. If you meditate for half an hour before going to sleep, if you are repeating the words for half an hour before going to sleep, the words continue through your sleep. You can wake up in the middle of the night and you find you're still repeating. Your mind picks up. The mind is a habit-forming machine. It forms habits. And even this can be a habit that it continuously repeats those words. So if that happens, all night you are meditating. If all the things you are doing all the time, they are remembering your Master and repeating words, you are meditating. Then when you need to really concentrate on something which requires so much of concentration that you give up these words, that is not more than 2.5 hours. If you live that way, then you can be meditating 21.5 hours and doing other work for 2.5 hours. So he said, you tilt the balance immediately. So the point he was making is that meditation is not merely sitting with your closed eyes, not trying to do something in a formal way. When you think of the Master's meditation, when you think you are doing your job, you are doing it for your Master, it's meditation. The Great Master's grandson, who was in the army, was posted to some station outside, and he came back to the Great Master. He said, Grandpa, you are my Master, and I have been posted somewhere far away. I won't have a chance to meditate properly. I won't be able to serve you properly. If I stay near you, I'll sit on your feet and serve you. Great Master said, go back to your post. Do your duty well and say you're doing it for your master. It's as good as meditation and as good as service to the master. If you are doing your work, if you are doing your job with the thought, I am doing it for my master, it is service and meditation. Therefore, don't take meditation to be merely a formal exercise in sitting with closed eyes and trying to either listen to the sound or trying to repeat words. No, words can be repeated all the time. And you can be thinking of the master all the time. Good things happen, thank you, master. Bad things happen, why was that master? Both ways, you are meditating. You can be meditating all the time. So that is why true meditation, which takes you on to a spiritual path and takes you on to a faster, accelerated route to your destination, to your true home, is meditation all the time. And that can be done, and that is real meditation, a life of meditation, a life of spiritual thinking, continuously associating with the master by thinking about him. If you think about the master, you may not know it. In the beginning, you may not know it, that the master is with you when you're thinking about him. The master is with you when you're talking to him. If you sit closed eyes and talk to the master and visualize him and repeat the words he's given you at initiation, he is with you at that time. You can ask the same questions without waiting to have the company of the master. What about the time when you haven't been able to visualize the master in your meditation to the extent when you feel he's really there, and you are also feeling he's hiding behind somewhere, but you want to see him? During that time, of course, it's good to actually physically meet the master as much as one can. And once again, somebody had asked, somebody from the United States who was visiting the great master, asked him, Master, how often should we come and see you? Which is the best deal for a person like me? How often should I come and see you? Because I want to see you all the time, 24 hours. But physically, also I love to see you. It's a great time I have when I'm with you. Somehow, something happens to me and I feel in bliss just by in your presence. I would like to be in your presence as much as possible. How often should I come and see you? Great Master said, the best is to see me every day. He said, but that is not possible for somebody living away. He said, for those who are living a little far away, they can come once a week. He said, what about people living overseas? He said, then they can come once a month. He said, but you know, it's very costly to come from a country like United States to this country. He said, they can come once a year. It's good enough. What about those who cannot come once a year? Great Master said, then they may have to wait for their next life to find the master who will take them finally. He is emphasizing the importance of physical contact with the master till you have manifested him within yourself. When you have manifested, you are seeing him every day. There's no question about it. You are seeing him exactly as you see him outside physically. So that's why Master's advice to me was, since I was young, he said, the best thing you can do, I am getting old, you are very young, the best thing you can do is, before I pass on in this body, at least to manifest my radiant form in you, do as much meditation as you can to get to that point. Thereafter, I will never die for you. I'll be there with you all the time. He kept his promise. That's why when the Master's radiant form comes into us, and we can see and talk to him like we talk to him physically, he's with us all the time, 24/7. And that's a friendship, and that's an association, a companionship of which there is no other that I know of. A companionship where you travel together, you go together, see things together, and also your mind is always on high alert, not to do anything wrong, because Master is with you all the time. So it's a very wonderful situation to have the radiant form of the Master. Why we call it radiant form? Because the astral form. The astral bodies are radiant by themselves. So when you have the true astral form of a Master, he is with you all the time. And when we don't have it, we should spend our time as much as we can to get that, by spending as much time as we can with the physical form of the Master and meditating enough and visualizing him enough to make him visible, and we can talk and feel that his presence is fully there in the same way like He is physically with us. So I am giving you these hints about true meditation. It is not a 2.5 hour affair. It's a style of living. It's a way how we conduct our life itself. And we can make our entire life a continuous meditation if we follow these steps.